And I'm live with my first video on the impressions of Midsomer Murder, which was an episode. The first episode for the 24th season dropped actually on Monday. And when I saw that, I wasn't aware of it, but when I saw that, I immediately began to watch it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I'm not going to bury the lead. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the show because it wasn't um, the the way it was set up wasn't your typical show, and so I enjoyed that part of it. It had you thinking one thing, and then it went into another direction, and I definitely enjoyed that. And so with that, just to give you a little synopsis, this is show is called The Devil's Work, and you may hear my cat in the background. That is okay. I'm at the door trying to get in. But anyway, this show was about the death of an ancient estate patriarch, um, which leads to rivalry and murder when his rebellious son plans to sell it off, outraging his siblings because this was an estate that had been in the family for centuries. So you know how that goes. You have a rich family who's owed money and their livelihood and all is being threatened, and so that's going to set some hairs on end. So to set it up, it starts with the funeral service of the patriarch, which was Henry Ignatius Shywell, and the service was held at the chapel, which is on their estate. So that lets you know just how much money they got. It was an estate with, the home, a chapel, um, a cottage, a Long Cross farm, and some other properties. And so again, it's set up at a funeral, and they are mourning the death of the father. Except the oldest son is not there. He's in his art studio, and he's going to town creating something, playing his loud music and drinking. And you can tell already that he is a free spirited artist who speaks his mind. That's exactly who he is. He eventually does show up at the funeral, and he lets the people know exactly how he feels about his dad, and it's not very loving. So he's the oldest son, and the second son is Francis. Francis is married with a wife, Davina. Francis appears to be the son who wants to carry on um, the father's dream of keeping the estate Starwick, it's called, in the family name. Um, and so I call him the suck up. He's a suck up son. And then there is the sister Ursula. Ursula is the daughter who never got married and who caringly cared for her father, caringly, lovingly cared for her father in his last days and kept him comfortable until the very end. And so those are your characters. Plus, there is Lucian has this current girlfriend called what's her name? Jordana. She's living in a yurt on the family estate, and the yurt is an insulated tent. And then there is his long-term girlfriend. Her name is Sadie. He's been with her for 20 years. She was also his assistant, and she lives in a cottage on the estate. And then there is a family, the farmers, who are farming the land, Long Cross farmland. That is Gideon and Lila Blundell, and they have a son named Caleb. And then there's a young lady, Sorrel. I think her name is Sorrel. She is best friends with Caleb. So those are kind of the characters who are involved. And just to give you just of what's going on. And so you have after the funeral, the family shows up. Of course, that you know how that goes. They show up to hear the reading of the will, and they're prepared to. Francis is prepared to take over the estate and kick Gideon out because he and his father had this plan to try to get rid of Gideon to keep him, Lucian, to keep him from inheriting the estate, and that is because his father didn't like him, and Lucian didn't like his dad, and so because of the way the will is set up, it's set up so that the property or the inheritor will be the firstborn son, and that is Lucian. Well, Lucian one up them rather. He one up them by he found out what they were up to. He met with the attorney, and the attorney explained to Francis that what you and your father planned ain't gonna work because brother man Lucian doesn't agree with it. So if you don't agree with it, that can't go forward. And in the midst of that, Lucian announces that um, the estate will no longer be the estate. He's not going to sell it, but he's going to turn it into an, what would you call it? Let's see. He announced he's going to turn it into like a artist retreat. He says that I'm trying to read my chicken scratch, but he's getting rid of chapel. He's going to turn that to the gallery. Um, he's gonna turn the farm. Oh, I didn't mention that Gideon and Lila is living on a farm, and that farm is part of the Starwick estate, and so they are tenants. And he plans on turning that farm into a renewable source, solar park. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but he plans on making all these changes. And just breaking it up and not keeping it the same as it was. And so now the family's upset. He also has fired his brother. And of course, with something like that, you begin to think that the show is going to go one way, that you think you're going to know who the first murder victim is. As time go on, um, uh, Jordana, the current lover, makes the long-term lover think she's pregnant. She indicates that she's pregnant, and she tells Lucian, who never wants to have kids. And when he finds out that she's pregnant, he loses his mind, gets mad, and he gets angry, and they fight. And of course, she is the first murder victim. And since she's the first murder victim, he, of course, is on the list. The brother, Francis, who overhears the fight, couldn't wait to go tell the cops. Yep, I heard them arguing. Don't know why, but I saw him storm off. So Lucian is high on the list. And also, Sadie is high on the list because Sadie is, again, the long term lover, and she's jealous of Jordana, and Jordana is dead. They find out, let's see, we move on to that. And the one thing I want to say is at the beginning of the show, you have a certain point of view of the characters, and usually once that happens, as the show goes on, there are things that kind of helps to fulfill that point of view that you have of them. As the show go on, the one thing I found that intrigued me about this particular episode was that these characters, they ebbed and flowed. They wasn't the same, which is human nature. We are not a dichotomy. We are a myriad of personalities, a myriad of sides, and you definitely saw that throughout the show, where you start out feeling bad for the brother Lucian because they try to get rid of him, and only to discover that I'm sorry, only to discover that, and I just realized that I don't hear my camera, my mic. So I hope that everyone hears me. I hope that is so. If anyone is watching, can you let me know if you hear me? Because I have on the earpiece and I don't hear anything, so I'm not sure what's happening. Oh, thank you. Okay. So, where did I leave off? So the characters are interesting. The type of characters that they are. You start out feeling sorry for Lucian because you think they're trying to get rid of him, only to discover, oh, he one up them. He know exactly what they're up to, and he has his own plans. Um, the brother Francis, my opinion of him stayed the same throughout. Unfortunately, I didn't like him. As a matter of fact, as time went on, I didn't like him even more. So that was fine. And then there is the sister Ursula, who seems to be this, I don't know, poor wayfish sister who's feeling sad and who loves her father. Um, kind of, she seems kind of wishy washy, but it is clear that she was in on the plan to try to disinherit Lucian. That is clear that she was going to be a part of that plan. So as time goes on, we discover after Jordana has died that, oh, she's not pregnant. She faked the pregnancy with a felt tip pen. And I hope no one tries that. But that is what she did. She faked the pregnancy. And now that takes away, now that kind of sways the investigation. Probably in the direction of, well, who want to get rid of her because she's pregnant? And who's on the top of that list? Lucian and Sadie. As time go on, Lucian's becoming more and more freer with what he plans to do with the estate. He's moving his art into the house. The siblings are getting angry. The Francis' wife, Davina, she's getting angry and she's encouraging him to do what he can to make sure they end up with the estate and not Lucian. Also, Lucian has opened up the estate to anybody who wants to come by and check it out, which has never happened in all of the years that family has owned that estate. And so now he's opening it up to the people, and the family is upset. And eventually, the chapel is broken into, and all of its religious artifacts have been stolen. And automatically, you think that, well, the people that you open up the home to is the one who stole the stuff. Lucian then takes control again um, for the police because they want to see the inventory list. The brother wants to handle it himself. Francis wants to handle it himself, but Lucian's like, no, give me the keys. And once he get the keys and he goes through all the paperwork, he realizes, oh, that stuff wasn't stolen. Somebody selling it off. They've been selling off the religious artifacts, and he discovered through looking through the computer that his brother has been doing it, selling off the artifacts and not putting it money back into the estate, but he's pocketing the money into his own account. Woohoo! Bad, bad, bad. He also discovers that he plans on selling the estate. That's Francis, once he gets control. And how is he going to try to get control? He's going to try to get control by convincing the powers that be that Lucian is a little crazy, like their mother, who before this show, 40 years before, accidentally died. Um, I think she fell down the stairs or something, but she had a history of alcoholism and mental illness. So they were going to try to put that put that on him. He discovered it and he threatened him. And guess who died next? You got it. Mr. Francis died next, and he was killed in the most um, humiliating way. That's one thing I can say about Midsomer Murders. When you watch Midsomer Murders, all of those deaths are the most creative things you've ever seen. No one is ever just stabbed. No one is ever just shot. No one ever is just strangled. There are very intricate plans with each murder. And I actually wonder who is sitting up planning all these murders. So with this one, with Frances, oh, I should say with Jordana, she was gassed or something with some type of gas, and then she was disoriented, stumbled out of the tent, and she grabbed onto something, some type of art structure, and it fell down and struck in the head, and she died. So that's how she died. And that one was not as creative as the others that I've seen. That was kind of, to me, that was kind of garden variety compared to the other Midsummer Murders that I've watched in the 23 seasons before. But with Francis, he was killed. All we know is that when his wife finds him later on that night, he has on a mask that had been created by Lucian, and was stabbed in the eye viciously in the eye with an art tool. So of course, who is indicated in this but Lucian? Lucian is the top culprit. And of course, they go talk to Lucian. He's like, "Look, I'm not gonna lie. I couldn't stand my brother, but I didn't kill him." Um, because the sister and the wife told them beforehand. Yeah, he threatened Lucian threatened Francis when he found out we were going to sell the estate. He found out that we were going to contest the will by saying that Lucian was crazy, and Lucian basically said, "I'll show you crazy." And he said, "Don't mess with me." And so that was the threat. And Lucian openly admitted that, "Yep, I said it." Did he tell you why I said it? I said it because I discovered they was stealing religious artifacts, pocketing the money, and he was going to sell the estate for him and take that money for himself. Um, and so that happens, and as time go on, they start digging into the Gideon and Lila Blundell family. Now, Gideon and Lila Blundell. Lila Blundell is played by Gina Rogers. Jenny Rogers. Jenny Rogers is an actor on Death in Paradise. I love that show. And I love her. I didn't recognize her at first because in this episode she's wearing a wig, and on Death in Paradise she's wearing her natural hair. And Death in Paradise, her character that she plays, I love her style and I love her character. So when I looked at her, I kept saying, "Wow, she looks familiar," but I couldn't place her at first. But yeah, Gideon and Lila are the ones who are living on the farmland, and they have a son, Caleb. And they're being kicked off their farmland by Lucian because he wants to turn it again into a solar park. In the meantime, the police have evidence that Lucian's long-term lover, Sadie, is the one who was stalking the current lover because she found out she was pregnant. She was doing all kind of crazy stuff. And so she ended up getting charged with stalking. So it's not worth it. So Lucian also kicked her off out of her cottage. I think he did it because I think he was thinking that Sadie may have did something to Jordana. So he kicked, because he wasn't intending on doing that. He promised he was going to keep her in his life and that she will be able to stay in that cottage because he said he needed her. But then later on the show, he kicks her out the cottage. And so now she is angry, and now she has a motive to do some harm to Lucian. And in the midst of this, something else that happened when the chapel was broken into, and that was DCI Barnaby's daughter and wife showed up because he opened up the estate for visitors to see. And um, what is John's wife's name? I cannot remember her name, but his wife and Betty, which is their daughter, they showed up to view the estate. Well, in the midst of it, Betty decides to go for a walk without telling anybody, and they can't find her. She's lost. Where the heck is she? Where the heck is she? Well, they find her in a secret room because this place again is centuries years old, so it has secret rooms and priest holes and stuff. They eventually found her, and so just to bring that little part in. And then let's see, Betty gets lost. They find her. Now, at this point, my mind, this is the thing that interests me about the show. My mind begins to change about Lucien. What I thought was a person I would feel sorry for, I began to kind of not like him. He kind of, in his free loving, truthful ways, he can also be thoughtless and cruel and cold. Like when he put Davina out the cottage when he promised he wouldn't. Um, like when he got so angry with Jordana because she was pregnant because he never wanted to have kids. Although honestly, that part never bothered me because he was always a free loving guy who had multiple partners. That part kind of didn't bother me. Um, but there was something else about him. Oh, when he tried to make a pass at Sorrel, Caleb's good friend. Caleb is 19. That means Sorrel is about 19 to 20. And Lucien is probably in his 50s. And dude is making a pass at this young girl. And not only is he making a pass at this young girl, she's not welcoming it. She's not like, all into it. She's feeling a little funny about it. So I'm like, okay, you're creepy. Not cool with that. So my opinion again about him changes because of that. Uh in the meantime, let me see. His plans, let me stay. Uh so he dies. They dig into the Gideon and Lila family again, and we discover that Gideon had a relationship with Ursula, the sister. What would I call her? The long-suffering sister. And when the father found out, because she is from a family of status and he's from a working class family, the father forces her to break it off with him. He then gets with yes, yes, Christy, ew. He then Gideon gets with Lila. Now Lila turns out had a relationship years ago with Lucien, and he broke it off with her and moved on to Sadie. So this guy again likes to sleep around. So these two get together and they're not really in love with each other. It's just a happenstance. They fell into a relationship and they have Caleb. Only Caleb is not Gideon's son. Caleb is Lucian's son. And Lila confesses this to Ursula when she after I forget what made her confess that to her. I think there was a situation that happened that caused um, Ursula to come by to try to see Gideon. And Ursula and Lila have a sit down. They finally have a one-on-one talk and talk about the truth. And Lila says to her, Gideon has always loved you. He never loved me. And we only got together because, he was heartbroken from you. And I was trying to make Lucien jealous. It didn't work. And she ends up confessing to Ursula that Caleb is Lucien's son. And guess who dies next? Caleb, this innocent young boy. He dies next. Now the question is, was it intentional or accidental? Did they intend to kill Caleb? Was he killed by accident because they thought he was Lucien? Or, you know, I don't know what else. I forget what my third option was. But those were the two that popped. Was that meant to be? When DCI Barnaby discovers that Lila confessed Caleb's fatherhood to Ursula, he figures out who the killer is. He figures out what the connection is, and the connection is the male heirs to the Starwick estate. And it was Ursula who did it. Now my thought process is, you killed that innocent boy just to keep a piece of property? Oh my goodness. Because she eventually she got it. Lucian found out that that boy was his son, and he was heartbroken, and he realized that that was the son that he always wanted and didn't know he always wanted. The other thing I want to say about that is that I do remember hearing early in the show that it was said that Lucian must have always had an affinity towards Caleb because they said Lucian would do anything for Caleb. So I always wondered, did Lucian know that Caleb was his? Did he start to suspect that Caleb was his? Or did he find out after he died? Or did he find out for sure after he died? But he was sad. And Ursula wants to comfort him and she says, come have a drink with me, brother. Because she tries to get him to pray in the chapel. He was like, I don't believe in God. So she says, come have a drink with me. And they go and they have a drink. And that's when Ursula confesses that their mother didn't die accidentally. She killed their mother because the mother was like, I never wanted you. You was a girl. Stay away from me. And Lucian realizes, oh, you killed our mother. Well, they say mummy. You killed mummy. And that's when she pushes him down the stairs and she's getting ready to go down there to kill him. But DCI Barnaby and I forget the detective sergeant's name. I know his name, but I forget it right now. But his detective sergeant, they stop it. And that's when they go through the process of this, explaining why she killed each one. She killed Jordana because she thought she was pregnant, and there was a 50% chance. The new young one, Jordana, yes. She killed Jordana because it was a 50% chance that that Jordana could have a boy. She killed her brother Francis because she discovered that he didn't intend on keeping the estate. He was going to sell it. So she was pissed at him. Plus, again, I didn't like Francis. He yelled at her and stuff. I didn't care for him. He was verbally abusive to his sister, not to his wife, but to his sister, because she let him. That's the best way I could put it. Um, and she killed Caleb because he was the son of Lucian. So by this point, because I saw how distraught Lucian was about his son, my mind began to change about him. See, all these changes, my mind begins to change about him. And now I'm thinking a certain way about Ursula. Like, oh, you did all this for a piece of property? And she says to DCI Barnaby, and his name is going to pop up to me, Detective Sergeant, I need you to follow me. I want to show you something so you can understand why I really did it. And she takes him to the garden area, and she explains that years ago, after her father made her break up with Gideon, she discovered she was pregnant by the only man she ever loved, still loves, and now she knows that he still loved her. She was pregnant and she managed to keep it a secret. However, the baby came early and the baby didn't make it. And she buried the baby under the rose in the garden area. And so that is why she wanted to keep the estate, not because of its money and its power and what it could lend her, but because she wanted to keep an eye on her baby girl. And boom, my mind changed again about that young woman. Well, about that woman, I was feeling a certain way. And then Lucian blows my mind even more because he then comes up and says, you have to go because you got to go to jail. I've decided to stay because I think he was going to leave, but he decided to stay and he's going to he's not going to do all the plans that he planned on doing to the estate so that he could keep an eye on her daughter. That was the biggest, most loving thing that I never would have expected from him, from his sister, especially after she pushed him down the stairs and tried to kill him, and after he discovered that she was the one who killed his mother. And I must say that he loved his mother, and Lucian was the mother's favorite, so they had a special relationship. So that really surprised me that happened, that he made that decision, that he opened his heart like that. So that is why When I saw this show, I had been uh, going back and forth about starting a YouTube channel, and I'm like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And I just thought I'd talk about mysteries, and I was going to start with the Agatha Christie, Halloween. Could not find the book just yet because of the new Hercule Poirot movie, something in Venice. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of the movie. But that new movie that came out not too long ago, that movie is based off the Halloween Party, and that is the one I wanted to talk about first. Because I don't want to just a haunting in Venice. Thank you, a haunting in Venice. So that is a show that I really in Midsomer Murders rather is a show that I discovered Midsomer Murders in its 12th season. I'm gonna wrap it up soon because I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna be like the Baptist church at the end. They want to keep you, hold you for another 10 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up soon. Anyway, I discovered Midsomer Murder during its 12th season on Netflix, and I would binge watch it, and I enjoyed practically every episode. And again, I enjoyed the creative ways in which the murders took place. And so next Monday will be the next episode, the second episode that would drop for the 24th season of Midsummer Murder. The one thing I didn't get was which Midsummer area this particular uh, village was in, because you have Midsummer Mallar, Midsummer this, Midsummer that. I love those little things. I didn't get that for this particular episode, but I will be sharing my thoughts on that episode once I watch it Monday. And so at this time, I'm going to sign off. I hope you enjoy the content. Please remember to subscribe and click the like button, and share the video with other people who might be interested in mysteries. I realize that as a black woman, um middle aged, that not many people like mystery shows. My friend makes fun of me because I love shows like Jessica Fletcher and Perry Mason, but I do think that there is an audience out there of people who do like mysteries, and I would love to interact with you and get your opinion on shows and such. So I hope to see you again. Everybody have a great day. And done.